Hello everyone, here we are, Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. It's round 7 of Ferrari Challenge for 2025. 30-minute race plus 1 lap for our Coppa Shell drivers. He's about to take to this 7.004 kilometer track. There you can see the cars assembling down there on the grid. As right now, let's give you our formal and official welcome to Spa. Iconic track then as we look from the top of Eau Rouge and reveal that our calendar is almost complete for 2025, having been to Monza, Misano, Hockenheim, Brno, Valencia, Barcelona. Here we are at Spa-Francorchamps with just Mugello to come. After this round in Belgium, we head off to Tuscany in Italy. And the final round of the Ferrari Challenge Europe taking place in Mugello as part of the glittering finale mondiale event. So we have 17 cars that will take to this track, which is currently being measured temperature-wise at 30 degrees with an air temperature of 25. The weather, it has to be said, has been pretty reasonable here today. Perhaps less likely to be that tomorrow, we are told. Just the chance of some precipitation to come tomorrow, which might change things a little bit. This is the 106 car of Ernst Kirchmayr, who has qualified P2. Good to see Ernst back. It's been a bit of a bit part campaign for him. He took part in the races at Hockenheim and Brno, and you can see he's being advised there by Giacomo Altoe, looking after Ernst Kirchmayr. There is von Skeltermar. He's qualified P8 for Kessel Racing. Qualifying time of 2:21.6 gave him P8 on the grid, so 4th row start for von Skeltermar. He'll be alongside Jan Bernier, one of our North American racers that come to race here in Spa. There's 2 or 3 of those that we'll tell you about in due course. This is Mrs. Manuela Gosner Giotto. To give her her full name, congratulations, Manu, and recently married to the fine Giorgio Giotto man that he is. And yes, congratulations. And she's done very, very well indeed and qualified P3. And also here with me is Nico Spalek. So Manu is very proud of the marriage and actually adorns the car with her new name.
Absolutely, and we've seen the calendar thus far, and what that calendar has done has given us a championship standing, which Manuela Gosner tops. She is #1. Ray Acosta for the collection, one of our North American drivers, taking part in the European Challenge on a regular basis. Manu Gosner, she's leading. She's not leading the race from the grid, but she will do that tomorrow because we had qualifying yesterday for both races, and Manu got it on pole for race 2. Today she will have to do some overtaking,
which she is perfectly capable of so doing. Daniel Mancinelli is driver coach to Jan Bernier and driver coach to a number of North American racers, including the Roberto Perina and Massimo Perina, as well as Brian Cook. And yes, he's here this weekend looking after Jan Bernier. Now this is what happened in Barcelona. Oskar Rinčević in the 1-2-1 car and Manu Gosner side by side going into the funnel, which is turn #1. And look behind, you can see lots going on. Ray Acosta finding the gravel and rally crossing his way through that. And be 1 or 2 times Ray would save the ailing car, which was very sideways as the grip ran out, and von Skeltermar was able to take advantage. And Christian Kinch and Zoe Skrimpias having something of a panel rubbing tussle together, but Oskar Rinčević would be victorious in race 1, and the celebrations on the podium you could see. So it was time for race 2 very quickly, once again in blistering sunshine. So Skrimpias, Manu Gosner, teammates of course, side by side, because they both race for the same team. Manu Gosner getting herself around, unfortunately, and that would mean that the result would be very different in race 2 than that in race 1. James Wyland and Christian Kinch were side by side, and with no assistance whatsoever, Christian Kinch found his way into the gravel as Oskar Rinčević went ahead of the 147 car of Zoe Skrimpias, but Zeus was able to come back and claim a win in race 2 in Barcelona. Zeus is missing this weekend, so Zeus Scrimpius not racing this weekend. However, the car is, and you will see that over the course of the weekend. This is the 132 car of Tibor Valint, and Tibor there with his qualifying lap time 2:21. And right now, let's catch up with the world of Ferrari in esports, which is critical.
It's a privilege and honor to race with the most important brand in the world.
What's the feeling? Do you enjoy the track? Do you like it? Do you think you will be up there again?
Valencia is a track where I can be very fast, but it's also a very technical track. That's why I love this track a lot. So it's a huge pleasure to drive in Valencia for me.
What's the first difference you noticed from the simulator and real life?
Actually, I have to say simulators today, they improved a lot. When 10 years ago, or also maybe 5 years ago, the technology was not so advanced. Now it's really a great pleasure to drive the simulator, and the cars are very, very close to the reality.
Ismail there is one of our Ferrari esports racers, and he invited Manu Gosner to have a go on the sim, and Manuela found it actually really, really realistic. Ismail joined us on the air as well, and he's a good young guy, and that's where talent in the future is coming from, Nico.
Absolutely. Lots of race into motorsport these days, and Ferrari offering some of those, including the Ferrari Challenge, but also esports.
Very, very important. There's our pole sitter, Oscar Rinčević. Now, Andreas Koenig gives his impression right now of the Ferrari Challenge.
Hello, my name is Andreas Koenig. I'm an Austrian Ferrari Challenge driver, driving for the Emil Ferrari team. Shell AM. Oh, Spa is a wonderful circuit. I mean, it's really, really fast, so I have a lot of respect because it's not only fast, but also very technical. 296 Challenge is a wonderful car. Super smart and easy to drive. It's super fast, but also very good to control, so I love the piece. Emil Ferrari is not only a very big Ferrari dealer, but it's a wonderful team. Giacomo Altoe, who's coaching me, so perfect setup, perfect team, I love it. I've been driving Ferrari Challenge now for a couple of years, and it's getting, first of all, more and more professional every year, and it feels like a family. So you come here, you see your friends. Perfect atmosphere. The season has been, I had some ups and downs. I hope I can end up the last 2 weekends in style and finish within the top 3. I was in love with Ferrari also already as a kid, so I'm super happy that I can do this as a private person now. Not as fast as the pros, but still fast enough to compete, and yeah, it's like a dream coming true. Ferrari Mondiali is always something very special. There are thousands of people coming. It feels like all of Italy is celebrating this prancing horse. I hope we see a lot of spectators. I hope there's a lot of Emozione Ferrari that we can see there. So please come and visit us.
As indeed Andreas Koenig said, and my colleague Nico alongside me would say the same. Book your travel to Mugello. Come and be part of Finale Mondiali as we take a look at the circuit Spa-Francorchamps. Then 19 turns, 7.004 kilometers. 10 to the left-hand side, 9 to the right-hand side. Finale Mondiali, yes, in Mugello is, what, 5 weeks away? It's a must.
100%. If you are a fan of motorsport and the prancing horse, it is something you should not miss.
Okay, also not to be missed will be the grid for this Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race 1 of the weekend. We will bring you that in full from back to front as the cars are released on their formation lap right now. 30 minutes plus 1 lap. As always, the cars have a rolling start with the Richard Mille safety car leading the cars away. way, then it will peel off, and it will be the responsibility of Oscar Rinčević and Ernst Kirchmeier to control the pace of the rolling start. Here comes the grid for you in full then from the back row to the front row. And going from P17, it is Corinna Gössner. Then we see Stefano Inama and Eric Marston ahead of Robin Mays and Michael Martin there, P14 and P13. It's P12 for Thomas Gössner and P11 for James Wyland. Then it's Ray Acosta and Tibor Valent there, P10 and P9, occupying the 5th row of our grid. Where von Skeltermaar and Jan Bernier are on the 4th row, it's P8 and P7 for those two drivers. John Dillon and Cristiano Marchel are P6 and P5, with Christian Kinch and Manu Gössner 4 and 3. And then to the front row of the grid, where we find Ernst Kirchmeier and Oscar Rinčević going from P2 and P1. So Oscar Rinčević and Ernst Kirchmeier both driving for the Kessel Racing team, which is interesting because the team battle going into La Source will be between both of them driving, of course, for the same team. Let's hear from our pole sitter right now. Great job done by Oscar Rinčević. Let's hear from him now.
Quali, coach got us out in quite a good position, so we had 3 clean laps, able to put down a good lap time, not spend the tyres so much, and yeah, feeling good for the race, and hopefully we can stay out in front.
Short, sweet, but says it the way it is, Nico.
Absolutely. Nice shades too. Yeah, obviously did everything that he could in qualifying. Now it will be important for him to try and transfer that pole position into the lead of the race. We've seen it before today and in the past. That first turn, La Source, being on the inside is good, but you can make the move work around the outside.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. There is no doubt about it. So we will see what will happen then. The movers and the shakers in our Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell category making their way through the left-hander right now. There's Eric Marston. He's a driver that's here from the United States. Also here from the USA is Jan Bernier, as indeed is Ray Costa. Robin Mays making his debut, Nico, in the 102 car, who, interestingly, is being coached by Nico Verdonk. Nico, I've talked about going back a few years, sorry Nico, in other racing categories, but here offering his race tutorship, if you will, to Robin Mays. On board with Christian Kinch right now in the 128 car. It was a good quali from Christian Kinch. He's got a second row start, Nico. Could be a danger man from there.
Oh, absolutely. He's already a race winner this season, even though he hasn't taken part in all of the races. So it's going to be interesting what happens over the first few turns. We've had good, clean racing thus far over the opening laps.
Yep.
Let's hope that our Coppa Shell competitors will be able to do exactly the same.
I'm sure they will. The Richard Mills safety car then, and you can see champing at the bit to get going is Ernst Kirchmeier, Manu Gössner as well, and so too Christian Kinch and Oscar Rinčević in the all-black mean machine, which is car number 121. The drivers are heading towards the bus stop chicane right now, where you don't realise until you walk the track or go around the track that it's actually quite a climb uphill through the right and then the left-hander before the start-finish straight. We'll throw the lighting gantry to the top of the screen so that you can see the lights when they go from red to green, or actually from red to being extinguished. That will signify the start of the race, and already we get the get-go. And John Dillon, with an extraordinary start, puts himself up into certainly P4, I would think, as the cars go round La Source for the first time of asking. I think it was Thomas Gössner that just got into the gravel trap, but I think John Dillon's up to P3, and Ernst Kirchmeier getting the rub of the green by leading the race ahead of Oscar Rinčević as they climb up Eau Rouge, and Christian Kinch running in P4. There is Kirchmeier, there is Oscar Rinčević, and Jan Bernier in there as well. John just coming out of the slipstream on Oscar Rinčević, taking a look at the inside line. Oscar closes the door, and Cristiano Marchel is running in P4. So Corinna Gössner has dropped right down the order. So quite a lot of movement right in the early stages of this race. And Nico, I have to be honest with you, my focus was on the orange front end of John Dillon as he seemed to get a blistering start. And I really rather lost what happened to Ernst Kirchmeier and Oskar Rinčević.
Yeah, definitely. John Dillon had a great start. Manu Gostner not quite so much. And Ernst Kirchmeier was just able from the front row, just has to have a little bit more momentum and make the move stick effectively into La Source already.
Okay.
And then there were a few cars in the background, like Thomas Gostner, who dipped the wheel into the gravel. But again, everybody making it through turn one, La Source, end up Eau Rouge, all in one piece, which is always good to see.
Yes, we will get a replay of the start in due course, and we'll take a look at that and perhaps be able to focus and ascertain exactly what happened there. So there is Christian Kinch. He's running in P5. Now, you will recall he started on the second row of the grid, so he's lost places. Ernst Kirchmeier stretching his legs over Oskar Rinčević. Cristiano Marchel out onto the gravel. However, saves the car and is able to continue. Christian Kinch, though, with Cristiano Marchel ahead of him. Christian Kinch, is he going to make a move? Going into the bus stop chicane, that is the most obvious place for Christian Kinch to have a go at Cristiano Marchel. Let's watch as they run. He dives to the inside line, and Cristiano Marchel closes, and they make contact. No damage done, but no overtake done either by Christian Kinch. Cristiano Marchel just closed the door, and Kinch just had to back out of the move to avoid any further contact and any further disturbing contact. So around La Source they go, and Jan Bernier really pushing Manuel Gostner now, and von Skelterma's not so far behind as well. And that's the fight that's going on for P6 at the moment. So down there where you go left and then right and carry so much speed up the hill. And now the benefit potentially of the slipstream that you could possibly get. And Oskar Rinčević is taking a look at that as both he and Ernst Kirchmeier have broken away a bit from John Dillon, and Christian Kinch certainly taking a look at the inside of Cristiano Marchel, but nothing was doing on that occasion. So plenty going on here in the early stages of this, and Oskar Rinčević is not giving up on the lead of this race, potentially, Nico.
Absolutely not, and we kind of forgot about John Dillon on the grid. He is second in the championship. There is a sizable gap from Manuel Gostner as Christian Kinch on the inside of Cristiano Marchel, and that's the move and the little bit of a coming together that we had just earlier. So thanks for getting out that replay and once again on board. So John Dillon can well afford every single point he can claw back on Manu Gostner, and he did everything right at the beginning of the race. Let's see how that race develops. I'm not sure if Manu Gostner has all the pace in the car that she had yesterday, because she was very dominant, especially in the qualifying number 2.
I think that's fair, and it will be interesting to see how she is able to. I think she's dropping back in pace even now. So we will see as that develops. For the moment, the threat from Jan Bernier has gone away, but I suspect it will rear its head again before the end of the race. We've got 25.5 minutes plus a lap still to do. Top 2 have broken away from Dillon running P3. Then it's Marchel, Kinch, Gostner, Jan Bernier, von Skelterma, Ray Acosta, and Tibor Valin. They are the top 10. And here comes Oskar Rinčević now, trying to just spot an opportunity on Ernst Kirchmeier, but Ernst, dare I say it, at the risk of offending him, he's a wily old fox, Nico.
And there is Christian Kinch again, a little bit of a better line through there than Cristiano Marchel, and he will be on the back of the Cristiano Marchel car and not quite close enough. However, we've seen moves through at the end of the Camel Straight being set up at this part of the circuit. If you can catch the slipstream through Eau Rouge, you're in a great position, but I don't think any of the front runners is just quite close enough. Very importantly, Oskar Rinčević in the early stages already collected 3 track limit warnings.
And as the lights went out, there was no question. John Dillon did not jump the start, Nico. He was just really, really on it at exactly the right moment. And a really good start from him. And then Manu Gostner, as John was able to carry momentum. There was Thomas Gostner going into the gravel, and Corinna also just dipping one wheel into the gravel as well. James Wyland and Ray Acosta side by side going towards Eau Rouge. That's always a scary moment. And here on board with Christian Kinch. These are all replays of the opening moments of this Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race that we're able to bring you. We are live from Spa-Francorchamps. We go back to the live pictures now. Oscar Rinčević, in terms of fighting with Ernst Kirchmayr, that has allowed John Dillon in P3 to get back closer to Oscar Rinčević. And this is the trouble, isn't it, when you're in the middle of that sandwich, if you like, between P1 and P3. You want to attack, but actually attacking can also mean that you're leaving yourself a little bit vulnerable, as Cristiano Marchel ran wide there, but Christian Kinch wasn't close enough to be able to properly take advantage of that. So still 23.5 minutes of this race to run, Nico.
Indeed, and just before the start replay came, I mentioned Oscar Rinčević had 3 track limit warnings, which means 1 more would be a penalty for him. As we have Corinna Gostner, you mentioned she had dropped down the order. The team sends her out again, which is great to see that she is going to continue. Obviously, her race result prospects rather ruined. Ernst Kirchmayr already also on 2 warnings, so the very sharp end of our field, especially at this early stage of the race.
You're right, because the track limits thing's only going to get worse because of tyre daggers. Oscar Rinčević, like a speeding thing on the inside. I mean, he came from a long way back to try and put that move on Ernst Kirchmayr. I mean, perfectly clean and tidy, but yeah, he was coming from a long way back, and Ernst was just able to close the door as he's right. He can protect his track position, that's for sure. As Ray Acosta now trying to fight with von Skeltermar here. Does Acosta get a better exit? Right behind is Tibor Valint, then it is James Wyland. So this is what's going on for P8 in the race, with Skeltermar, Acosta and Tibor Valint being joined by James Wyland as well. So Wyland then carrying maximum speed. Is he going to get the benefit of perhaps a draft from all of those cars in front of him? You mentioned it earlier as an aggregate sort of double benefit that potentially you can get, as Tibor Valint and Ray Acosta. Well, Valint shortcuts the chicane but doesn't gain a place, and for all my building that, kind of nothing really happened, Nico.
No, but it was close enough and it could have gone wrong. Great car control and mutual respect by all the drivers there. Tibor Valint, he is trying to defend James Wyland, but also trying to get on terms with Ray Acosta, who in turn is trying to get on terms with von Skeltermar, and he would like nothing more than just get up the road and focus on what's in front of him. But for the moment, Ray Acosta is preventing that.
Yes, and well, here we go back to the front of the pack with the all-back car of Oscar Rinčević continuing to chase down Ernst Kirchmayr. Hasn't been able to find a way back. All of a sudden, Nico, it becomes a almost 5-way fight for the lead of the race, because they're all bunching up. And Manu Gostner, whilst earlier we both intimated that she didn't seem to have quite the pace that she had in qualifying, seems to have got the get-go now and is almost on the back of these now. So if these all bunch up, that will be a really nice little taster of what's likely to come over the next 20.5 minutes plus 1 lap of this Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race. And again, Oscar Rinčević able to get close to Ernst Kirchmayr, but Ernst just knows exactly where to place that car, and Oscar seems to be behaving himself pretty well now, forgive me, but with regards to track limits, because he can ill afford another one. Oh, as that is Thomas Gostner, and I think it's the car of Michael Martin.
Yeah, I think so, and where that car is placed, that is certainly going to bring out a safety car, I venture to say, because it's right on the start-finish straight.
No question. You could just see that at the back of our shot. That will be a safety car. Double-waved yellows at the moment at turn 19, which is the final turn out of the bus stop chicane. Doubtless we'll get a replay of what happened there, but the 2 cars involved, Thomas Gostner and Michael Martin, as here comes Tibor Valint, also Ray Acosta looking at von Skeltermar. Fons closes the gap, as is his right to do so. Ray Acosta trying to find a way around the outside, sells the dummy to von Skeltermar, but Skeltermar's wise to it and holds on to that place. And Ray Acosta being encouraged and motivated by his driver coach Marco Bononomi on the radio as we speak. Here comes James Wyland on the inside of Tibor Valint. He has to dive out of it And respectful racing from James Wyland to avoid a collision. He did dial out of that. Here comes Acosta now on Skeltermar. He's all over the curbs, but Skeltermar is neater and tidier. And here's Ray flashing his lights furiously, trying to break the concentration of the driver of the 177 car, but thus far has been unable to do so. Safety car is called for. So all cars will come under the guidance and control of the safety car. Safety car is out, and I didn't think for 1 minute there was ever going to be any doubt of that. That's great to see. The Michael Martin from Maranello Motors walking away. The integral safety of the 296 Challenge cars is unquestioned, and this is how it happened. So Thomas Gostner and Michael Martin. Gostner and Eric Marston. Little touch between the two of them. Thomas shortcuts across the curbs, and then I think completely unconnected, but in avoidance, Michael Martin, just trying to avoid the spinning Thomas Gostner car, plants the car headfirst into the barriers, Nico.
Yeah, he tried to just squeeze on the inside and put a little bit too much rotation at the end into the car and wasn't able to recover from that. I mean, that is a difficult maneuver to pull off, and unfortunately, I mean, we saw him walk away, certainly not hurt, but quite some damage to the car, hopefully not to the barrier. James Wyland, we are being seen on our timing screen that he has picked up 4 track limit warnings, and 4 is exactly the wrong side of the line.
Yeah, that is unfortunate.
That will put him down 5 seconds.
With a safety car, it's going to hurt.
Absolutely. I mean, he doesn't have to take it. It will just be added at the end. And
we could see Christian Kinch talking into his team radio. And I think there may have been 1 or 2 colourful words there. I kind of saw that, really. Now, you mentioned that James Wyland picking up that time penalty. It's just confirmed on our message screen. You'll see it in graphics in a few moments on screen as well, that car 118 picks up a time penalty of 5 seconds. There it is. It's because of track limits, so that's really, really unfortunate. James Wyland then, that will drop him down the order. And the reason I'm laughing is because James's driver coach, Conrad Groenewold, was telling us about track warnings and him being on the radio advising his driver about, you know, you've got to avoid this turn, you've got to avoid this turn, avoid the curbs on this turn, you're getting track limits warnings, and time after time he kept collecting the track limits warnings. So in the end, Conrad said, I just shut up and said nothing, and then he drove between the white lines. So maybe it'll be Conrad's fault, his driver coach. Who knows, but what we do know is that James has picked up a 4th warning, and that means a penalty of 5 seconds. Also very vulnerable is Oscar Ridgewich, who's running P2 in the race. He has got 3 warnings for track limits. You can have 3 and get away with it. When it comes to the 4th, you're going to get a time penalty. So this safety car period brought about by Michael Martin in avoidance of the spinning Thomas Gostner car pitching the car into the fence. It was quite an impact, and I just, Nico made the point, hopefully there's no barrier damage. I think that is a possibility. Maybe if we can stay on board the Christian Kinch car when we get to that scene on the exit of bus stop, we'll be able to ascertain what's going to happen. Perhaps we can pick it up when we get there and see if they are having to make any reparatory work to the safety barriers. Now, what this has done, of course, is bunched all the cars up. And anyone that had any advantage of leads, that's gone away. Well, to be fair, no one has had huge advantages. In fact, the top 3 have been quite close. See some looming dark clouds overhead. That would just add some spice into it, wouldn't it? My goodness. I don't think it's likely to happen. We've got 14.5 minutes plus 1 lap to do. But the clouds do look turbulent.
Yeah, the weather forecast, however, says rain will come, but not during this
tomorrow.
race.
Yeah.
More like tonight and possibly during the races tomorrow.
Right, we're now going to get towards the bus stop. We're heading towards it now. Just be interesting to see on the exit of that how they're getting on. So we stay with the Richard Mills safety car and just take a look at whether there's any barrier work going on. Well, I thought we were going to be able to do that, but regrettably we cut away from that shot, so I wasn't able to see whether there was any work going on to the barriers at that particular point. So we stay with the safety car, no further information yet. You can see the recovery truck is down there, recovering the stricken Michael Martin car. That's Matt Griffin from AF Corsa. Matt Griffin on radio to his driver who's running P3, which is John Dillon. Ernst Kirkmeyer leading from Oscar Rinčević, P2. Then it's John Dillon, Cristiano Marchel, Christian Kinch, who we ride on board with right now, as well, we did as we run the cars up hill now, up Eau Rouge, and 13 minutes plus a lap. And we are in a safety car phase of this Ferrari Challenge race. Live from Spa-Francorchamps. As you can see, the driver's weaving from side to side. The reason for doing that is to try and keep some temperature into the Pirelli tyres. And as I mentioned, Nico, there was a recovery truck there that was trying to collect the stricken car of Michael Martin. There's Marco Bononomi. Now, Marco Bononomi is driver coach to Ray Acosta, who's currently running P9. Marco's had a glittering racing career, Nico. I can remember, proof of how old I am, I can remember Marco Bononomi in single-seaters, junior single-seaters at that, which is slightly disturbing.
He's not that old, but good news for everybody, and for us in particular. Safety car is in this lap, and so we can go back to racing in just a few moments' time, as we're just entering the second sector, and that means the drivers will have about a minute and a half, 2 minutes to prepare and get themselves and their cars ready for the restart.
Incidentally, I've just heard from our meteorological expert in our TV production suite that says the rain is coming in around about 10 minutes. That would put the kibosh on where we're at. Weather forecasts are notoriously inaccurate. What's your latest update, Nico, because you're someone that's across this?
Well, we did check before the race, and the indication was that we would have rain, but possibly after the race. We will go back into the weather forecast, which, well, different apps have different information by my reckoning. It may be a few drops, but it shouldn't be before 5 p.m. We will see.
Nothing like a few drops or drips. We will see if they come.
That's why they call the music drip drop, isn't it? That was different.
That's different. Right. Safety car coming in at the conclusion of this lap. Now, this affords drivers opportunities. And one of those that may be able to take an opportunity is Christian Kinch of getting by the car of Cristiano Marchel. He's been trying to do that. That's what a driver coach can see, Nico. In terms of the information that's fed to them, that's Matt Griffin there, as I mentioned, from AF Corsa, who coaches John Dillon, who's running P3 at the moment. This could be an opportunity for John Dillon to move forwards. But as much as it's an opportunity for drivers to move forward, Nico, it's also an opportunity for them to move backwards sometimes. So have to be fair about it. Getting a safety car start done is actually one of the skill sets that you need as a racing driver, to be truthful.
Definitely, and that's, I think, one of the key difference between just being quick and being good in racing. So let's see, when will Ernst Kirchmeier give it a footfall?
Well, Oscar Rinčević is trying to anticipate that by almost burying the front of his car into the back of Kirkmeyer, who goes for it now. So does John Dillon. Those three have broken away a little bit from Cristiano Marchel. Right into La Source they'll go. And who's going to be prepared to have a go? None of them quite close enough to be able to do so. Maybe Oscar Rinčević not getting the traction out of La Source that he wanted. He does make the car wide, though, and that prevents John Dillon from being able to really get a purchase on the all-black car. They run up Eau Rouge right now and onto the Kemmel Straight, Nico. And is Dillon going to be close enough to be able to get an advantage from the slipstream? I don't think he is, honestly.
No, but Manu Gostner has closed up on Christian Kinch. That's one thing to watch, and Christian Kinch moves over a little bit to try and defend, but equally he's close to Cristiano Martial. Has to be careful not to bump into the rear of the car in front of him. It controls it nicely. Well, there was a lot of anticipation and actually no overtake done.
Yeah, we kind of built what could happen and then none of it did. As is often the case sometimes, but Jan Bernier's on the back of Manu Gostner now as well. So it has bunched the cars all up a bit. And Ernst Kirchmeier, I said, wily racing driver that he is, he controlled the restart really well, and now he's beginning to stretch his legs a little bit. He's got about 5.5 tenths over Oscar Rinčević. Then it is John Dillon, P3. Cristiano Marchel running P4, which I think I'm right in saying that would be potentially Cristiano's best finish of the season. Oh no, I'm doing him a disservice. He's had 2 P2s. Where were you, Dave? Clearly sleeping at that point. So Cristiano Kinch then, Christian Kinch rather than Cristiano Kinch. He has to go through the slight smoke screen of debris being kicked up by Cristiano Marchel ahead of him. And we're looking at the rearward-facing onboard camera from Cristiano Marchel. Now, Manu Gostner, Nico, is another driver that's on the 3 warning threshold. That's the word I was looking for. I was going to say template. That would be completely wrong, wouldn't it? Complete misuse. Cristiano Marchel is out wide. Surely Kinch has got him now. And surely Oscar Rinčević has got Ernst Kirchmeier. No, he hasn't. In fact, 2 overtakes almost I'd have been prepared to lay money on them happening. Neither of them did, Nico.
No, absolutely. It looked like Christian Kinch would be able to do that. I'm sure that Cristiano Martial will pick up a track limit infraction for that, and indeed he did, but he's still fairly safe. Now, Oscar Rinčević, if he can stay in the slipstream through Eau Rouge, Radio, and onto the Camel Straight, this could be a big opportunity for the change of the lead. Let's see if anticipation building works this time around. Well, Ernst Kirchmeier cuts the chicane a little bit. And that means that Oscar Rinčević definitely isn't close enough right now.
Oh, my goodness me. So, it's as we were then, and I don't know how many times we've tried to build what we think is going to be something very special, but it hasn't happened. And now Ernst Kirchmeier, Nico, is on 3 track limit warnings. So both P1 and P2 are in strife here, potentially, if they don't keep it within the white lines. The big beneficiary could be John Dillon, who's only got 1, which I have to say, John is normally renowned for exceeding track limits, and today, doing a brilliant job.
I wouldn't go all that far, but Matt Griffin certainly was in his ear and telling him, well, you know, you got to control it. That will give you a good chance. And as an extension, Oscar Rinčević's pressure on Ernst Kirchmeier probably provoked that mistake. And he will probably push more because it has worked once.
Well, maybe so. And Kinch then is pushing Cristiano Marchel also. And there you can see Kinch actually taken to the grass in the anticipation of shortcutting as much as possible and gaining a further centimetre or 2 on the red and yellow car ahead, but thus far he has been denied. So it's Kirchmeier from Rinčević from Dillon. They are the top 3. We've got 5.5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. Let's go back on board right now with Christian Kinch and run the telemetry on his car as well, just to add some further entertainment spectacle. He's carrying so much speed here. Here comes Rinčević again on Ernst Kirchmeier. Side by side, surely Rinčević has done it. Racing room was left by Ernst Kirchmeier, Nico. That was very fair driving from both of them. It compromised their exit a bit out of the bus stop chicane, which has allowed Dillon to get a bit closer. And now Oscar Rinčević has got a further track limits warning. That is going to drop him down, Nico.
That is going to drop him down. So just what he gained it, that means he is set to lose it. We have seen track limit warnings rescinded, but it's extremely rare. So let's hold on. For the moment, Oscar Rinčević leads, Ernst Kirchmeier second. But we have that Damoclean sword over Oscar Rinčević's head, and that would promote Kirchmeier and Dillon.
It's coming. I can see it on our message screen. There it is on your screen. And here comes John Dillon, almost on Ernst Kirchmeier, carrying so much speed. Now, forgive me, Nico, if I was Matt Griffin, and I'm not, he's much more talented than me, I'd be trying to push Ernst Kirchmayr as much as possible to make another track limit excursion, and that would elevate JD into P1 just by pushing into a track limit penalty.
Well, he would certainly.
That's all I'm saying.
He would certainly take the win if it came that way. He would prefer to do it on the track, but a win is a win at the end of the day. And there you can see Oskar Rinčević is moving up the road, but that 5 seconds is going to be very, very difficult to overcome.
Well, in replay, this is where he laid it on the line, and he had to be so determined. I have to say, from an overtake point of view, Nico, fair play to both of the drivers. There was room left by both of them, and it could have ended oh so differently, but it didn't. Yeah, as I say, racing room left by both of them, and fair play to them for that. Meantime, there is Rinčević. Now, if he was able to get 5 seconds up the road, Nico, but that's a tall order, isn't it, in the 3 minutes plus 1 lap remaining? I mean, he's broken away significantly. He's built up a margin of 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, and he's not only fighting Ernst Kirchmayr in that regard. Every further position right now, 5 seconds would drop him all the way down into P7, or P6 actually. However, if he were to stretch his legs, that deficit could be less, even if it may not be the win at the end of the day. Right now, as they cross the timing line, it's 1.36 seconds to Ernst Kirchmayr.
Right. So that is the gap as it stands. The order on track is Oskar Rinčević, then it's Ernst Kirchmayr, John Dillon, Cristiano Marchel, Christian Kinch, Manuel Kostner. They are the top 6 drivers. And another driver that's picked up a time penalty is von Skelterma, and he's running P10 at the moment. So that's going to drop him perilously down the order, unfortunately. He's being chased by Tibor Valint and Eric Marston at the moment, and you can see that Tibor Valint is getting much closer to the Shark's Teeth fronted 177 car. Here they come into shot right now. Camel straight, and Tibor Valint goes to the inside. Von Skelterma gives him just enough racing room. And Tibor Valint goes through with a textbook overtake, Nico, using the Kemmel straight and then the chicane.
Indeed, Tibor Valint and von Skelterma, they were already racing against each other when Tibor Valint was previously in the challenge some years ago. And Tibor coming back so they can renew their acquaintance and their battles and the good, fair fight between the two of them.
I agree with you. 1.5 minutes plus a lap to go. Here is Tibor Valint. It's so good, we're going to rerun the fun. Here is that overtake. Dive to the inside. Now, Von squeezed, but what he did, he made sure always that there was a 296 challenge width gap on the racing surface, and that allowed the overtake to happen. It was very fair. Eric Marston now having a look at von Skelterma. Eric Marston from California in America, races in the North American and Series. Indeed is a Coppa Shell champion in North America, and Eric not doing a full campaign this year, but pleasingly great to see him here in Europe, racing here at Spa-Francorchamps, and sat with him and didn't ask him actually at lunch whether he'll be Finale Mondiale. I think that's highly likely. Hope so. So he's had some woes in qualifying, Nico, with the 126 not being qualifying where he would like to be, but he's seemingly got the pace back now in the race.
As has Oskar Rinčević, who just put in, with almost 30 minutes elapsed, the fastest lap of the race. He's only 1.4 seconds to the good of Ernst Kirchmayr, but that 5-second penalty would only drop him down into P4, so still good points for him. Yes. And it's still a lap plus one more to do, because they have crossed the timing line with time remaining. So it's the remainder of this one.
And then one more.
And one more.
Thank you for bringing us up to speed on where we're at in terms of... Oh, Nico, Ernst Kirchmayr, I think, has just picked up another penalty, another track limit. Which, if that is the case, that would elevate John Dillon into P1, I think. It's all conjecture on my part at the moment.
Yeah, the timing screen says that. We will wait for the graphics confirmation as Robert Mays is being attacked by Robert Marston, or rather is attacking, and Robert Marston keeping his position there as Thomas Gostner is trying to respond and move up the order. For the moment, everything as it was, and let's see, the fight for the lead is coming down to race control almost, but you know, as a driver you have the obligation to stay on the track. If you don't do that, this is what happens.
There it is on screen. Car 106, time penalty of 5 seconds. Now, John Dillon at the moment is P3 and Oscar Rinčević is 3.5 seconds to the good. So John can't afford to lose pace here, Nico. He's got to keep going and going quickly.
Indeed, and now Rinčević and Kirchmeier kind of can throw caution to the wind a little bit. They've got a little bit of a cushion before a next penalty would come, so they can really push, and John Dillon cannot afford to let that gap grow significantly more. There is a chance we will still see Rinčević and Kirchmeier on the podium.
Yes.
What will be the sequence? It's Cristiano Maciel who has to battle and keep that gap to a minimum.
You could see there Matt Griffin, Sean Doyle, Darren Howell, in fact the entire British contingent in there, urging John Dillon on. And here is Thomas Gostner. And this is his move on Robin Mays. And that's fair, I would have said. Eric Marston just ahead of them. So here we go then as we are on to the final lap, Nico. Oscar Rinčević is 4.450 seconds ahead of John Dillon. Now, if he were to find 6/10,
he would be a race winner regardless. That is extraordinary. He's already on the podium provisionally, even with the penalty. And John Dillon, he would so dearly love to have a slipstream.
Now, John can put caution to the wind because he's only got one track limit. Look at the split the screen. You can see Matt Griffin there. Also, Sean Doyle is in there. Both driver coaches for AF Corsa. Willing John on here. He can throw caution to the wind, Nico. He can take some liberties with track limits because he's got 2 in the bank, as it were. What he can't afford to do is lose sight of Ernst Kirchmeier and Oscar Rinčević ahead of him, because he needs to finish within 5 seconds of these cars. Otherwise, he's going to lose a potential win, Nico.
Indeed, and last sector time it was 4.689, so that's only 0.3 of a cushion. We are approaching the second sector line in maybe 10 seconds or so, or for John Dillon 15 seconds. Cristiano Maciel is right behind him. I think John Dillon doesn't have to worry too much about Kirchmeier, but Rinčević could still steal that win away.
Yes.
Let's see. Oscar Rinčević is crossing the timing line in a few seconds. Where will the clock stop? Oh, this is drama.
This is drama being played out on the timing screen.
Indeed.
As much as on the track, and actually I think John has clawed back some of the gap.
Yeah, absolutely, he has clawed back 2/10, so he now has a little bit bigger of a cushion. This is going to be interesting, and remember, this is still a battle for P2 effectively, because
Rinčević ran wide there. Come on, let's see how this is going to end up as we go through the bus stop chicane for the final time of asking. There's Oscar Rinčević. And there's Ernst Kirchmeier. Both of those head towards the timing line right now. They cross the timing line. And here comes John Dillon. Has he done enough? Yes, he has. John Dillon wins from Oscar Rinčević, Nico, who was able to bank P2 from Cristiano Maciel, Ernst Kirchmeier, Christian Kinch. Look at the celebrations in Dillon's garage.
Absolutely.
We're having dinner with them tonight, incidentally.
And Cristiano Maciel actually was able on the last lunge to stay in front of Ernst Kirchmeier by 1/10.5. Only that much. So we will see Cristiano Maciel on the podium as well. Manu Gostner, remember, championship leader.
I was going to say, can you crunch the numbers? Because this is good news for JD, isn't it, in terms of the championship?
Absolutely. Manu Gostner finishes in a respectable P6, but not as strong as she has been in previous races. So if our wish is to get the championship decided towards the very end of our campaign, well, John Dillon has delivered. And now, we always want to have the overtakes done on the track, but every now and then, a little bit of a timing screen battle isn't a bad change of pace either, and John Dillon will take it. He had some misfortune this season already. I think he will feel like, okay, you know, that's deserved.
Yeah, this is deserved. And do you know what? You'll struggle to believe this. It's John's first win this season.
Yes.
He's been so consistent, but he hasn't had a win. He's deserved a win and hasn't taken it. This time, he has.
Shout out also to Jan Bernier, finishing in P7, and Ray Acosta in P8, Thibaut Valent in P9. And also, good kudos to all our drivers. 16 of our 17 drivers have made it across the finish line. Only Michael Martin, obviously, we saw colliding with the barrier in avoidance. So that was a race. Remember, there's another one of those tomorrow at the same time.
Bring it on. I mean, absolutely amazing stuff. Wow. Take some of that, please. Ferrari Challenge Racing, par excellence, I'm prepared to say.
I rather think, I would have to check that afterwards, I don't think any of the drivers finished in the position they crossed the line in.
Congratulations, John Dillon. He takes the win from Oscar Rinčević and Cristiano Marchel. It earns Kirkmeyer P4, Christian Kinch P5, Manu Gosner P6, Jan Bernier P7 and Ray Acosta P8. With Thibaut Valent, James Wyland P9 and 10, ahead of Thomas Gosner, von Skeltermal, Robin Mays, Eric Marston, Stefano Inama, and Corinna Gosner then, and unfortunately we lost the car of Michael Martin earlier on in the race. Wow, what a Ferrari Challenge race live from Spa-Francorchamps. Absolutely awesome stuff. Well done to all the drivers. Thoroughly enjoyed that. What I didn't enjoy is making myself dizzy having to try and look at the timing screen, or timing screeners, and the live images as well, as we're trying to juggle everything here, because the connotations of what could happen and indeed did happen, we were trying to be across it, and tried the best we could. But yeah, great stuff indeed. So cars into Parc Fermé, and JD will go to P1, the Formula Racing driver. He'll be well supported down there. He's one of Ferrari Challenge's really liked drivers, as they all are, and as I say, he's been very consistent in terms of points this year and points finishes, which is why he's where he's in the championship. But it seems unbelievable. You know, I had to double check that is his first win this season. Come on, John Dillon, on the roof of the car. You deserve that. Come on, come on. Steady on, friend. Our race winner, John Dillon. Well done. There's Oscar Rinčević. I mean, he is such an awesome driver to watch, Nico, because he reminds me a little bit of, and I've said this on air more than once, he reminds me in looks and driving style a little bit with Dario.
Dario Caso. Absolutely. Cristiano Marcel also on the podium. Feel a little bit for Ernst Kirchmeier, also had a great race,
yeah,
and was denied. I mean, it's that one time too many. And actually John Dillon at the end, very end, pushed and pushed and pushed. Also made it up to 3 warnings at the end.
Yeah, well,
he left himself that cushion during the race.
Yes, yes. I mean, he had the banker and the ability to do that, didn't he? I need to lie down, I think, after that one, mate.
And Christian Kinch, shout out, the only one of our top 12 drivers without any track limit infractions. The other ones, Robin Mays. Clean sheet for those.
Right. We will discover whether it was Team Radio and Matt Griffin saying to John, come on, just lose the shortcut the track. You can afford to do that. Whether it was that or whether it was another means that he has taken the win, and richly deserved as well. So John Dillon, driver of the 151 car engineered by Formula Racing. We're about to hear from him right now, our race winner, John Dillon.
Wow, John, congratulations. What a thrilling race today here in Spa. So I want to discover with you your feeling to be here and relive with you all the race.
Non ci posso credere Che vittoria, ragazzi. Oh,
Super Italian.
grazie mille. Oh, that was amazing. Perfect start. The best I could do from P6. Obviously got elevated from P7. So yeah, the start was amazing. I thought if I stayed behind the couple of guys in front, they were battling quite hard. I had one track limit and I had to be super conservative. And I took, obviously, a little bit of time to get to pace, but I caught the guys again. Safety car restart, I just stayed conservative. Could have got them a little bit quicker. But yeah, finished the race. And actually, I didn't know until I crossed the line, or actually coming here, that I was P1, because the guys got penalties. But amazing. Forza Ferrari.
Well
Thank you, Johnny.
done.
Congratulations.
Grazie mille.
These Italians blooming good, isn't it?
Absolutely, and the strategy too.
Well, let's take a look at the highlights of our Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell Race 1 as the drivers are off then. The lights went out and blistering start from John Dillon, who puts it alongside Manuel Agosna, who's arch nemesis in the championship, and through the La Source turn 1 they go. And good momentum for a number of the drivers. John Dillon able to put himself into P3. Christian Kinch getting ahead of Manuel Agosna, and James Wyland and Ray Acosta side by side as they ran down towards the start of Eau Rouge, climbing uphill. Oscar Rinčević and Ernst Kirchmayr breaking away. Christian Kinch and Cristiano Marchel deciding to have a little bit of a love tap between themselves. Cristiano Marchel able to stay ahead of the Christian Kinch car. Now, Thomas Gosner, he just lost the back end of the car, and in avoidance, Michael Martin absolutely into the fence. That brought out the safety car, and when we got back to racing once again, well, Ernst Kirchmayr was able to get by Oscar Rinčević. John Dillon was catching the both of them. And then side by side, Ernst Kirchmayr and Oscar Rinčević, as Rinčević was determined to get back out in front. What they were unaware of is the fact that the track limits warnings were beginning to have an impact, and penalties would be applied to the drivers that were running P1 and P2. Tibor Valent and von Skeltermar, and Tibor Valent with a textbook overtake through the chicane. And Thomas Gosner and Robin Mays. Thomas Gosner getting by the yellow and black car of Robin Mays. So to the checkered flag, and on track it would be Oscar Rinčević and Ernst Kirchmayr, but it would be this car, John Dillon, that actually, after post-race penalties, would be the race winner. The delight inside the garage of John Dillon was clear for all to see. Well done, John Dillon. I find that really hard to believe, Nico, and perhaps that's a strategy from a driver coach, is not to tell your driver some information. But I'm guessing John was not aware of what the gap was, and therefore whether he was actually going to inherit the win or not. I don't know.
I'm tempted to think that the driver could always tell his driver to push as much as possible, and that there is a point in doing that.
Yes.
Whether he will tell him the whole story at that point.
Yeah.
You know, it might just be, well, they have penalties, they're on the threshold, just push, it might come your way, rather than tell them that it's already happened. Anyway, podium coming up. Cristiano Marcel on the way to P3.
Oscar Rinčević.
So there is Cristiano Marchel, there's Oscar Rinčević. Sorry, looking at him, Nico, reminds me of Dario Carzo. And to the top step of the podium, many congratulations, John Dillon. And of course, Formula Racing will be there. And here comes the national anthem right now. the anthem plays out for our winner, John Dillon. And here comes Ethan A to make the trophy presentations. Of course, Ferrari factory driver and Le Mans winner. Cristiano Marchel receives his. And stand by, Oscar Rinčević, who takes his P2 trophy.
Oscar Rinčević.
And unbelievably, first win of the season for John Dillon. P2 in the Drivers' Championship, and his first win of the season. I'm still double-checking, I think I've got that wrong. Formula Racing, of course, in receipt of a trophy as well.
Ifei and old driver on the podium.
Ifei and Formula Racing will get onto the podium as well, and we go for the photographs. Come on, everybody.
Okay, lift your trophy, up your trophy.
The drivers take no notice whatsoever and do not lift their trophy or even up their trophy until now.
Okay.
Great photographs they will be of the Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell drivers. Who's going to win the champagne race? John Dillon does it. He's done it both today. Double bubble.
Okay.
So the top three then, Cristiano Marchel for FBO Motorsports. P2 for Oscar Rinčević. And P1 for the Formula Racing driver, John Dillon. Now, in the Drivers' Championship, there is just 16 points between P1 and P2. And Oscar Rinčević, look, has moved up 3 places, now third in the championship, and he's only 32 points behind Nico. So a lot to be played out in this Coppa Shell Drivers' Championship, potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot can happen in the Ferrari Challenge, and most days like today,
it jolly well does. Wow. I hope you've enjoyed that race as much as Nico and I did, because an awesome Coppa Shell race. Of course, another one of those to come tomorrow. Qualifying is already done for the race, so make sure you join us for that. And all the racing to come tomorrow, live from Spa-Francorchamps on behalf of Nico and myself. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now.